When we were recording Thunderbirds Are Go, Denham Studios, news came down that Thunderbirds, the television show series, was being cancelled.
I went to see Lou and I thought he was going to say, let's go on with Thunderbirds, but he said, I want a new show.
I think Lou Grade ran into a problem with distribution.
And I appealed and he said, Gerry, it's easier for me to sell a new show than more Thunderbirds.
I mean, it was doing very well. It was running around the world almost.
America didn't want it anymore, so therefore Lou Grade wasn't brave enough, I think, to realize that he could still keep doing it in England and the rest of the world would follow, but he didn't.
Yes, we missed an opportunity there.
This is the voice of the Mysterons. One of you will be under our control.
Parker, what are you doing?
Beg pardon, m'lady, but we've now arrived at the series which followed in our wake. Not so friendly for the little nippers, is it?
Captain Scarlet was a much colder, a much darker series.
With Captain Scarlet, we were moving away from more of the family thing.
Captain Scarlet follows the Spectrum organisation led by Colonel White. Unfortunately, at the beginning of the series, they have a mission to Mars where they're met by the Mysterons. The Mysterons look to monitor what's going on. Unfortunately, the visitors take it as a potential attack and they attack first. And this initiates a war between the Mysterons and Earth, and it's Spectrum's job to defend it. The main character in that obviously is Captain Scarlet, who by a strange twist of fate is made indestructible. He's at first Mysteronized by the Mysterons and then somehow through an accident regains control of his faculties and helps Spectrum lead the fight against them.
If only we were fighting something we understood, something tangible, something in 3 dimensions.
I know what you mean. We can only hear them over our radios, but I've got a feeling they're with us all the time.
Mary, aren't there 3 different sets of heads there showing the progress?
Yes, that's right. There's Mike Mercury from Supercar, Brains from Thunderbirds, and that looks like, I think his name is Captain Green.
It's Lieutenant Green, isn't it?
Lieutenant Green. This shows the contrast between the Thunderbird puppet, which is Gordon here, and Captain Scarlet. Gordon is more of a caricature, you would say, I suppose, whereas Captain Scarlet reckons to be in human proportions.
So he's got a tiny head for a puppet.
I actually remember everybody was quite excited about the fact that the puppets were much more human scale. Everyone except the puppeteers who hated them. They absolutely hated the smaller heads and the fact that nothing was controllable and, you know, the heads would suddenly go bloop, bloop, bloop.
They looked more real and therefore you were restricted even more because if they did something silly like a puppet might do, it was totally unacceptable.
My point that I always made to Gerry was that the puppets were puppets. Don't try and pretend they're real people. He was always trying to get away, trying to get to reality.
Dad always said that he thought the puppets were little bastards and he absolutely hated working with them.
The great strength of puppets is that you can have unbelievably outrageous caricatures and you can do lots of things with them that you can't do with actors. But he never realised that.
But if he didn't hate them and if he wasn't embarrassed by them, then he wouldn't have gone for the level of quality and intricacy that he did end up with. So, despite hating them, I think his hatred of them served him quite well.
Captain Brown? Captain Brown, are you all right?
When special effects and the puppets had to come together, the puppet was borrowed from the puppeteers and taken to the special effects stage.
There was huge rivalry between the puppeteers and the effects stages.
Yes, we were always a bit worried when the puppets were borrowed, sorry, that they wouldn't come back as they went away.
There was obviously not rivalry, it was, oh, don't blow another one up, please, Derek, don't do it. You know, don't do this to us. You don't know how long it takes. And he'd shrug his shoulders and laugh about it.
Special effects were special effects. Dirty, grubby, foul-mouthed, lots of noise. Quite enjoyable.
There was a good banter between, you know, all the units.
We had a meeting once. We were told not to be rude about the puppeteers.
It would seem that this Captain Scarlet is now indestructible. This presents us with the clear and exciting expectation that he will become our greatest asset in the fight against the Mysterons.
I remember seeing the first episode in the Russians Theatre and Mike Trim came out and said, "What do you think of it?" I was a young, green 19-year-old kid. I thought, well, after Thunderbirds it was so different. Was it really going to be as big? And I think we all knew deep down, although we all loved what we were doing, nothing would ever emulate the magic that Thunderbirds had.